Gentlemen, let me ask you a serious question. When was the last time chasing a woman gave you the result you actually wanted? I'm not talking about a short-lived thrill. I mean real respect, genuine desire, emotional peace. If you're honest, you'll realize that the more you chased, the less she valued you. That's not a coincidence. That's a law of masculine energy. The truth is, the most powerful men don't chase women. They attract them, silently, consistently, and effortlessly. And the secret? It's found in Stoicism. Stoic men gain power, not because they try harder, but because they resist chasing. They understand that what's scarce becomes valuable, and nothing is scarcer today than a man who is centered, calm, and self-possessed. Here are 6 key traits that define such men and how they magnetize attention without saying a word. A Stoic man doesn't rely on external approval to feel worthy. His validation comes from within, and that's what makes him powerful. In today's world, many men are conditioned to believe that their value rises or falls based on how much attention they get from women. They start to measure their self-worth by how many messages they receive, how much praise they get, or how often they're desired. But this mindset makes you fragile. The moment she pulls away, your confidence shatters. The truth is, when your sense of self depends on anything outside of you, you're vulnerable to losing it at any moment. A Stoic man doesn't operate like that. He doesn't look in the mirror through the eyes of others. He sets his own standards. He holds himself accountable to his own values and goals. Whether women notice him or not, it doesn't shake his foundation. He knows what he's building. He knows who he is. And he moves through the world with that certainty. Ironically, this detachment from needing validation is what makes him so attractive. People are drawn to those who are self-assured, not needy. When a woman sees a man who doesn't flinch when ignored, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't alter his behavior just to be liked, she notices. She sees strength. Most men crumble under the pressure of trying to be chosen. The Stoic man doesn't play that game. He chooses himself first, and that quiet confidence is what sets him apart. Over time, he stops trying to prove anything, and simply becomes the type of man others want to be around. That's the power of internal validation. It's unshakable, and once you have it, you never go back. A Stoic man's emotional control sets him apart in a world full of reactivity. While others are quick to get upset, complain, or chase when things don't go their way, the Stoic man remains grounded. He doesn't act out of desperation, and he doesn't allow a woman's behavior to dictate his state of mind. That ability to stay calm under pressure, especially in romantic situations, is one of the most underrated yet magnetic traits a man can develop. Most women aren't used to men who can remain emotionally still. They're used to men who get jealous, blow up their phone, or try to win them over through overcompensation. When a man is emotionally unpredictable, he signals insecurity. But when a man is calm, measured, and responds rather than reacts, he communicates confidence and power. He doesn't need to prove himself. He's not chasing a high or afraid of losing something. His focus is on maintaining peace within himself. This isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about being in control of your impulses. If she pulls away, you don't chase. If she tests you, you don't bite. If she tries to provoke emotion, you observe it without losing yourself in the moment. That presence is rare, and it speaks volumes. Emotional discipline isn't just attractive, it's essential. It keeps you from being manipulated, from making decisions you regret, and from getting trapped in unnecessary drama. When you master your emotional responses, you gain clarity. You see people and situations for what they are, not through a lens of fear or desire. You become more strategic, more respected, and more powerful. In a chaotic world, the man who can stay calm becomes the man everyone looks to, and the man women find hardest to forget. Stoic men understand the immense value of time and energy. They don't waste either chasing things that don't align with their mission. This includes chasing women. Instead of pouring their efforts into constant pursuit, they redirect that energy toward building themselves, physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially. They recognize that the best way to attract what they want in life isn't by running after it, but by becoming a version of themselves that naturally draws it in. When a man operates from purpose, everything changes. He wakes up with intent, knowing what he's working toward. His focus isn't scattered by temporary distractions or emotional highs and lows. Women sense this. A man with direction, who values his time, becomes instantly more intriguing. He's not readily available for small talk, drama, or games. He's selective with what he allows into his world because he's protecting something valuable, his path. This is where power builds. While others are chasing attention or validation, the Stoic man is investing in himself. And in doing so, he becomes more valuable, without having to say a word. His achievements, his consistency, and his self-discipline speak louder than any pickup line ever could. Women begin to notice not because he's chasing, but because he's glowing from within. He carries a sense of pride, ambition, and restraint that most men don't embody. In relationships, this detachment from neediness shifts the dynamic completely. He doesn't need anyone to complete him. That independence is attractive because it signals emotional security and strength. Women don't want a man who needs them to feel whole. They want a man who chooses them while still being whole himself. And a man who values his time over approval becomes the one they chase, not the one chasing. That's the true power of detachment. A Stoic man is not emotionally reactive, and this gives him an undeniable edge in a world driven by impulsive behavior. When a woman tests his limits, challenges his confidence, or withdraws her attention to provoke a reaction, he doesn't take the bait. He understands that emotional control isn't about suppressing feelings, but about mastering them. He knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to walk away and when to stand firm. This balance creates an aura of unshakable confidence that women find irresistibly attractive. Most people react impulsively to emotion, jealousy, fear, insecurity. But Stoic men recognize that these reactions are a loss of power. Every time a man loses his temper, begs for attention, or gets visibly shaken by a shift in her mood, he hands over his control. On the other hand, the man who remains calm, grounded, and measured, even when things get heated, stands out as rare. This calmness signals strength, maturity, and confidence in oneself, and it puts him in a position of influence without him needing to force anything. Women are drawn to emotional stability not because it's flashy, but because it's safe and rare. In a world where drama, confusion, and mixed signals are common, a man who doesn't waver becomes a grounding presence. She knows he won't fold under pressure, and that makes her feel more drawn to him. His lack of emotional reactivity sends the message that he's not desperate for her validation. He values peace over chaos, discipline over drama. Stoic men don't compete in emotional games. They don't need to win arguments or prove their point through loud reactions. They win by being consistent, calm, and unaffected by emotional turbulence. And that quiet strength commands more respect and attraction than any emotional outburst ever could. A Stoic man doesn't just value time, he protects it fiercely.
He understands that his time and energy are his most valuable assets, and he treats them with respect. This naturally creates boundaries that filter out anything or anyone that doesn't align with his mission. Women notice this immediately.
A man who is selective about where he invests his attention is far more attractive than one who is constantly available or easily distracted. His discipline sends a clear signal. He is building something valuable, and only those who bring value are welcome in his space. Unlike men who spread themselves thin trying to impress or please everyone, the Stoic man operates with purpose. His calendar isn't filled with pointless socializing or desperate texting sprees. He is deliberate in how he spends his day, from his workouts to his reading to his business or career pursuits. This self-respect commands the respect of others. It becomes clear that he's not trying to be liked. He's trying to be excellent, and excellence doesn't chase approval. It earns attention naturally. When a woman realizes she is not the center of his world, it piques her curiosity and desire. Not because he's playing games, but because he's grounded in something bigger than her. He's not available on demand. He doesn't drop everything, just to reply to a message or rearrange his life for someone new. This level of prioritization makes her want to earn her place in his life, rather than assume it. She becomes drawn in, not because he begged for it, but because he was too focused on his path to notice her games. Ultimately, by guarding his time and living intentionally, the Stoic man creates a magnetic pull. His life is already full, his purpose already clear, and that, more than anything, becomes the most powerful form of attraction. A Stoic man understands that emotions are natural, but how he reacts to them defines his strength. Unlike men who lash out, overreact, or get consumed by anxiety when a woman pulls away or tests him, the Stoic man remains composed. This emotional discipline isn't coldness, it's control. He has mastered the ability to observe his emotions without being controlled by them. That's a rare trait, and it separates him from the majority of men who operate purely from impulse or insecurity. When a woman sees a man who doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't spiral into drama, she feels a deep instinctual respect. It tells her this man is anchored, that his sense of self isn't swayed by her moods or approval. That calm becomes an emotional safe zone. In a world full of reactive men, the Stoic stands out simply by being steady. This kind of self-control also gives him clarity. He sees through manipulation, passive-aggressive behavior, or hot and cold games without getting sucked into them. He doesn't need to argue, prove a point, or win validation. Instead, he makes his decisions from logic and long-term vision. If something violates his peace, he exits. If a situation doesn't serve his growth, he lets it go. That decisiveness alone is a power move. His calm presence challenges others to rise to his level. He sets the tone in relationships instead of being dragged by emotional chaos. And because women crave security, emotional intelligence, and confidence, this makes him not only rare, but deeply magnetic. The Stoic man's emotional stillness becomes a source of authority and attraction. He doesn't have to chase, convince, or perform. His control over himself is enough. And when you master that, you stop reacting to women, and they start responding to you. So understand this. Chasing women is not masculine. It's a form of insecurity. But standing still, grounded in who you are, while building a life of strength and purpose, that is how Stoic men gain power. Women sense it, they feel it, and they can't help but be drawn to it.